Good afternoon.
Did you want to start with a statement given the development
No.
of BC? Or
No.
We'd like to know what your reaction is to BC pulling back on decriminalization.
Well, at this point in time, I met with Minister Whiteside in BC on Friday, and we are reviewing the request to the exemption that they put forward to us. We're sitting with Health Canada officials at this time, but we are wholeheartedly committed to continue to work with BC. They requested this exemption from the federal government with a full plan for a suite of tools to address the illicit toxic drug supply and the overdose crisis. Our commitment is to keep this firmly in the frame that this is a health care crisis and it is not a criminalization issue.
How quickly do you think you can act? So BC has asked you to take these actions, and as you said, you met with the minister. How quickly can you respond and give them what they're looking for?
Well, considering I only received the letter on Friday and today is Monday, it is under review with officials at this time.
Are you committed to decriminalization? If another jurisdiction, I know Toronto, for example, has an application to allow for decriminalization, would the federal government be in the position, given BC's experience, to be granting more exemptions for decriminalization?
So I think we need to go back to first principles of policy here. In addressing the illicit toxic drug supply and the overdose crisis, we know as a federal government that we work with jurisdictions on a case-by-case basis, making sure we have a full suite of tools available to help vulnerable populations. That includes prevention, that includes harm reduction, that includes treatment, and that includes a full set of health considerations. At this time, Toronto's request is under review. We look at this case by case. It's not an apples-to-apples situation, and we continue to partner and work with jurisdictions.
To be clear, you would still, decriminalization is still something you would be prepared to go forward with and grant in a jurisdiction?
The overdose crisis, as I've said before, and I say again, is a health crisis issue. It is not a criminal one.
What does it say to you about the policy overall with BC saying public use has gotten so out of hand, we have to look back at getting rid of this part from decriminalization? Just what does that say to you about this policy overall, where public use has gotten to such a bad level in BC?
What I say is that, again, we look at a full suite. Decrim is one of a multitude of tools that we need to use to address this health crisis. You can't look at one, some of the voices out there that are polarizing right now would like to look at this in singular frames. I say resolutely that we have to look at this as a healthcare crisis, of looking at all the tools that we need. We do not want to stigmatize people. We want people to get help and the treatment and services that they need, and we need to create a framework that supports them to get that healthcare assistance.
What does this tell us about the decriminalization tool, though? I take your point, it's a suite of tools, but this is one of the tools. What's the lesson here about that tool?
We are 1 year into a 3-year pilot, and we continue to work with the BC government to evaluate.
What went wrong in your mind? Because 1 year in, BC's already saying we got to pull back and it's too much, so what went wrong here?
1 year in, we're still evaluating the data and working with BC. Thank you.
Surveilled by the Chinese Communist Party.
Concerning reports we heard last week, obviously, and I hope the Speaker recognized that this is a threat to parliamentary privilege, and this is yet another instance where the government did not inform members of Parliament. It happened previously. It was 2021. They found out about it, I think, into 2022 when the FBI would have informed them. But yeah, it's bizarre that members of Parliament weren't told, and we've got to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Do you have any theories on why you might not have been told?
I think it's a question for the government. Various reporters have tried to get a response from Mr. LeBlanc's office and haven't gotten anything substantive in terms of why members of Parliament were not informed, especially when this issue has come up before, and the government has said that going forward people will be informed, and yet they weren't.
Mr. McKay, how does it feel to be surveilled by the Chinese Communist Party?
Hang on for a second. Can I call you back? I'll call you right back. Okay. How does it feel? The short answer is I don't know how I should feel, because I don't have enough information to sort of establish what I should feel. It's kind of a bizarre situation to be in. So.
Does it feel that the government hasn't learned lessons from what happened?
I can't even give you a straight answer on that. I just don't know the nature of the threat. I have had it explained to me. And I still don't know.
What about the idea that the government has known for 2 years and yet you're finding it right now as a result of the FBI in the US?
That does require an explanation. There may be one, I just don't know what it is.
Do you think there should be more transparency in future on these matters?
As a general proposition, we should know straight up. You know, I'm a public official. I run probably 150, 200 emails a day. The people who communicate with me should have, if you will, the security of knowing that those emails are as safe as they could be. So I think in that respect it's fair.
What do you hope for in the HUG report on that is to be released for? Could there be any recommendations in there?
Well, it's a pity that the timing's bad. This information only came to us last Wednesday. In order to be able to consider by the HUG report, it would have to be part of the evidence chain, and I don't see it getting in there.
Do you hope to see recommendations regarding communication towards MP that it should be?
I would like to see an upgrade. We are in a very different threat environment in the last 2 years. China wishes to turn Canada into a vassal state. One of the ways of doing it is co-opting people like you and me to create confused thinking, and then our response will be equally confused. And the result of that will be we create a vulnerability even unknowingly. Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Housefather, can I ask you about the encampments on the McGill campus? What do you make of those?
As I've stated, it's a violation of McGill policy. As McGill stated today, a significant part of the students that are there, or the people that are there, are not McGill students. In fact, they may even be the majority that are not McGill students. And they also mentioned that McGill had condemned the anti-Semitism that existed yesterday, where we had videos of people calling on students to return to Poland after, you know, Jewish families have been in Montreal for generation after generation. It was disgraceful. So I called on McGill to work with the Montreal police to do something about it, because it's a violation of McGill policy, and I continue to call on them to do that.
Pourriez nous parler des incidents que vous évoquez, là, parce que l'université McGill dit on a des preuves qu'il y a eu des propos antisémites, de l'intimidation. Vous avez vu ces preuves-là, vous? Est-ce que vous
il y avait des vidéos sur Instagram, sur X, où vous pourriez le voir. Et à la fin du jour, un encampement est une violation de la politique de McGill. Vous ne devriez pas permettre un encampement quand c'est une violation de politique. Des manifestations paisibles sont une chose, des encampements sont complètement d'autres.
Donc, pour vous, s'il y a quelques individus qui ont tenu des propos inacceptables, est-ce que ça justifierait de démanteler le campement au complet?
Non, mais c'est pas premièrement, les propos antisémites sont une violation de le code de McGill. Mais les encampements sont une violation du code de McGill. Ce n'est pas les paroles qui justifient d'enlever l'encampement. C'est le fait que vous n'avez pas le droit d'encampement. C'est la section 7 des politiques de le code de McGill.
Votre collègue, M. Miller, il y a quelques minutes, disait il faut respecter le droit de manifester. Évidemment, il condamne.
Oui, mais le droit de manifester, un encampement, ce n'est pas une manifestation. Une manifestation paisible, c'est permis selon les règles de McGill. Un encampement n'est pas, comme vous avez vu dans les statements de McGill.
Est-ce que ça pourrait...
Can you just say that in English?
Sure.
Can you repeat that last bit?
Yeah, that McGill's own code of conduct says under Section 7 that you can't have people that set up camp at McGill, and the McGill administration has stated on at least 3 occasions now that it's a violation of their policies. So it has nothing to do with whether a peaceful demonstration is allowed or not. An encampment is not allowed.
How worried are you about it, how it's affecting the rest of the student population there, in particular the Jewish students?
Yeah, there are exams today and tomorrow, and I've heard over the course of the weekend from literally hundreds of Jewish students and their parents and grandparents that are afraid of what's happening on campus. And it's a terrible message to send to the Jewish community in Montreal that has been in Montreal for over 250 years to see those type of remarks calling on Jews to return to Poland that we heard in the videos yesterday. It is absolutely anti-Semitic, and it's unacceptable. And it doesn't reflect well on the people around that are listening to people say that. In the end result, though, peaceful demonstration is one thing. I am perfectly prepared to have peaceful demonstrations, but having people set up camp on the McGill campus is a violation of McGill's code of conduct. It shouldn't have been permitted in the first place. And I call on McGill to work with everyone involved to make sure that it's dismantled.
Juste pour être bien clair, vous êtes en faveur d'une intervention policière pour démanteler...
C'est la décision de McGill. C'est le terrain privé de McGill. Mais, dans la politique de McGill, ce n'est pas permis. Donc, c'est à l'administration de McGill, comme le SPVM a dit, je vais parler avec les policiers cette fin de semaine, ils attendent la décision de McGill. Si McGill leur demande de venir sur le campus, c'est ce qu'ils vont faire, ils vont suivre les instructions de McGill. Tout le monde veut une résolution paisible de la situation, mais c'est une violation des règles de McGill, et McGill n'aurait jamais dû permettre ça à la commencement, et maintenant il doit trouver une façon paisible d'éviter d'avoir un encampement sur le terrain de McGill.
Can you repeat that in English as well about the police?
It's up to the McGill administration to ask for police to come onto campus, because right now it's a violation of the code of conduct of McGill. So it's up to the McGill administration to decide when and how to take action with the police. The police are coordinating with McGill, and they need to decide what to do. I'm not going to tell them what to do. I'm simply saying it's a violation of the policy of McGill, and having people set up camp on McGill is unacceptable. It creates a situation for other students not involved that creates a fear and intimidation for other students, and it shouldn't be permitted.
Si, par exemple, le campement est démantelé, il n'y a pas un risque que le lendemain, il y ait 2 fois plus de monde. Tu comprends ce que je veux dire? C'est que ça peut créer un effet de ressac.
Mais quand vous avez un encampement, ça crée un effet où il va y avoir des gens qui vont contre-manifester. Ce n'est pas la meilleure chose pour personne. Et à la fin, si les gens font des manifestations qui sont permises sur le campus, ça c'est correct. Mais ils n'ont pas le droit d'un encampement.
Merci.
Merci.
Ms. Zahid, what do you think of the encampment that is going on at McGill University in Montreal? Do you think it should be tear down, as some of your colleagues are asking for, or it should stay?
But I see all of us have been going through very difficult, and many of these students have been going through very difficult time over the last 6 months, and over 6 months we have seen more than I think close to 35,000 innocent civilians dying. So everyone has the right to protest, and everyone needs to feel safe. So I think the peaceful protest, and they have it under the Charter of Rights and Freedom, and everyone's Charter of Rights should be protected. Everyone should have a right to, and at the same time, universities should make sure that no one feels unsafe on the campuses.
Your colleague, Mr. Housefather, says that there was some anti-Semitic remarks that were made by some of the demonstrators. I don't know if you've seen any of them.
That's what I said. Like peaceful protests, I think. Like as a Canadian, everyone has a right to a peaceful protest. And what these students have been seeing in these last 6 months, it's very difficult to, like, I have young kids also, like my kids are also 25 and 23-year-old, and what all they have seen is not good for their mental health. I at that age was never exposed to things like that. I'm really worried about the mental health of my own children also, and the mental health of all Canadian youth. So peaceful protest, I think, is everyone's right, and at the same time, it's important that everyone feels safe on the campuses. As parents, for us, like my sons have gone through 2 Canadian universities, Ryerson and McMaster, and as a parent, it's really very important to have that satisfaction that everyone is safe on the campus, and my younger son has lived on the campus at McMaster, and everyone has a right to protest.
Is an encampment for you, in your view, is it a peaceful
protest? Peaceful protests are like under the Charter of Rights and Freedom.
But
in the U.S., they're arresting protesters. Are you concerned that protesters may be arrested in Canada? Do you think that impedes the right to peacefully protest?
Peaceful protest should be allowed. It isn't no one should be denied the right for a peaceful protest. Thank you.
J'arrive de Washington. À l'instant, j'ai pas eu le temps de voir les dernières nouvelles. J'arrive de Washington. Je me tiens informé. J'étais avec tous vos collègues de la Maison-Blanche pendant le samedi. Alors, je me tiens plus qu'informé. Il y était 2600 de vos collègues.
Mais est-ce que vous êtes d'accord avec le principe? Est-ce que vous pensez que ça va trop loin, que l'université devrait enlever les campements?
Je pense que certainement les recteurs et les rectrices doivent regarder la situation, prendre des actions qui s'imposent dans les circonstances.
Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire, ça?
Ça veut dire qu'il y a des responsabilités responsabilités pour les... Excusez-moi, sorry guys. Il y a des responsabilités pour les recteurs et les rectrices, puis je pense qu'il faut respecter la liberté d'expression, mais en même temps, il faut s'assurer que les étudiants puissent accéder aux cours. Certainement, je pense qu'il y a une réflexion à avoir là-dessus, certainement. J'ai vu ce qui se passe aux États-Unis aussi.
Mais est-ce que vous pensez que
vous parlez parce que je suis là pour poser des questions.
Any thoughts on the McGill protest? Any thoughts on the McGill protest?
Vous en pensez? Comment est-ce qu'on doit les tolérer? Est-ce que l'université doit agir? Comment vous voyez ça?
Écoutez, la situation à Gaza depuis 6 mois est inhumaine. C'est une crise humanitaire qui est intense. On est tous bouleversés par les images des enfants là-bas qui sont tués tous les jours sous les bombes. Je comprends que les gens réagissent. La liberté d'expression est importante chez nous. C'est un droit fondamental. Alors, c'est normal que les étudiants disent « ça suffit, on veut un cessez-le-feu, on veut un règlement pacifique de ce conflit-là, on veut une solution pour les Palestiniens ». Mais pour nous, c'est important au NPD qu'il y ait un équilibre entre cette liberté d'expression et le fait aussi que les gens de la communauté juive se sentent en sécurité partout, y compris sur les campus universitaires.
Donc concrètement, qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Comme si vous êtes l'administration de l'université, qu'est-ce que vous faites là, concrètement en ce moment? Est-ce que vous enlevez les tentes? Qu'est-ce que vous faites?
Je pense que l'utilisation de la force ou de la violence ou de la répression ne serait pas une bonne idée en ce moment. Je pense que le dialogue avec les étudiants, puis une compréhension aussi de la situation. Pourquoi ils font ça? Ils font pas ça pour rien, ils font pas ça pour le plaisir. Ils font ça parce qu'il y a un risque réel de génocide en ce moment contre le peuple palestinien. C'est normal que les étudiants et étudiantes réagissent. C'est pas la première fois dans l'histoire qu'on a vu ça aussi. Alors c'est normal, mais je pense qu'il doit y avoir un dialogue, je pense qu'il doit y avoir de la compréhension des deux côtés.
Okay, donc pour l'instant, on n'enlève pas les tentes par la force, mais est-ce que vous sentez, parce qu'il y a des étudiants juifs qui disent il y a de l'antisémitisme sur les campus, on se sent pas toujours en sécurité. Est-ce que vous avez l'impression qu'ils sont en sécurité, les étudiants juifs?
Mais je veux que les étudiantes et étudiantes juives se sentent en sécurité partout. Et je vais condamner, le NPD va condamner toutes les paroles et les actes antisémites. Et malheureusement, parfois, on peut en voir dans ces contestations, ces protestations-là. C'est une frange qui est très minoritaire, mais extrêmement nuisible, bruyante, et puis on la condamne évidemment.
In English, your thoughts on the protests, the minority you're saying?
Yeah. So, you know, what's going on in Gaza since 6 months is absolutely horrible. 34,000 people dead, 13,000 children. I think it's normal that students are protesting. I think it's normal that human beings are saying that's enough. We want a ceasefire. We want a peaceful resolution. So, and the freedom of speech is important in our country. So we want to defend that and protect that. But we want everybody from any community to feel safe anywhere. In university campuses too. So if there's any act or any incident of anti-Semitism, we condemn it, and we say that there's no place for that kind of hate in Canada or in Quebec or in Montreal. So I think right now we need to listen to those students. We need to make sure that McGill is a safe space for everybody, Muslim, Jew, Christians, atheist, whatever. And I asked the university to have a dialogue, to talk with those students to find a solution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Auto
you want
theft.
to tell us about it? I hear it's auto theft.
Yeah.
And?
Well, bail and auto thefts, and
yeah,
we got some infrastructure projects we're advocating for as well. But it's the GTA has become a candy store for auto thieves, and we want to change that. And rather than criticize, we've come with ideas and solutions, and we met with Minister LeBlanc earlier today, and meeting with Minister Varani, and of course the Prime Minister. Right. I think this is the biggest frustration that residents, I represent in Brampton, I think it's common across the GTA, it's public safety right now.
Right. Okay, and in particular auto thefts or
Well,
other things as well?
the auto theft is interrelated. It's,
Yeah.
we're seeing break and enters skyrocketing, and it's because people are breaking down doors to get keys. And so our gold heist that we had unveiled a few weeks ago was the largest gold heist in Canadian history. Peel police managed to arrest everyone. Once again, they were stealing gold for the purposes of smuggling guns. So a lot of these criminal activities are all intertwined.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And obviously you're getting access. So what kind of reception are you getting from the ministers?
I think it's collaborative right now. I think give Dominic LeBlanc credit. He's very much been at the table. I think historically the government of Canada wasn't at the table when it came to some of these issues, and so the fact that they are is encouraging, but we need to fix some of the root causes. The fact that we don't have scanners at the Port of Montreal, our intermodal hubs, like they do in the U.S., is one of the reasons it's so easy to get stolen goods out in Canada.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.